As I record this video, West Ham are literally 16 days away from starting our Premier League season when we travel to Bournemouth for the opening day of the new season. And yet, I know I sound like I'm repeating myself, no closer to replacing Declan Rice as it appears. Nothing's really changing. We're still in the same boat as we was at the beginning of the week. I did a video on Monday saying that this was a really important week. This was the week that we desperately needed because it would at least give us a fortnight then, cushion time to get new players in and get them settled in with the squad, work on tactics, etc. So I found it to really be a crucial week. Well, it's Thursday now, and nothing's changed. We are in the same position, absolute same position, which is crazy. Before I go into this video, I just want to say that most of the people that watch this are not subscribers. I think actually more than half. So if you aren't a subscriber, just please click subscribe because it's free to do so, and you keep up to date with our videos. And of course, then you enter the competition to win a free West Ham top. We give away a free top, home, away, third kit throughout the whole season. Every month throughout the whole season. So just take part. All you need to do is click subscribe. It's free to do so. So please do. So yeah, here we are then. We are, as I say, 16 days away from the Premier League starting. It's really a frustrating time. Really frustrating. I'm maintaining a positive kind of outlook in the long run. I do feel like in the long run we'll be all right. But I'm concerned, and I'm not just concerned about the sort of obvious, i.e. where are our players, we need to prepare for the new season, which is absolutely crucial. I'm also concerned about what this is doing to our reputation with these players that are so-called targets and players that we're really keen on. You do wonder what they must be thinking, because if I was, say, an Edson Alvarez, for instance, I wouldn't be impressed with this. I'd be looking at well, what's going on? Do you want me or not? Because this constant sitting back and inquiring, and we're not really going to put a bid in because we want to see what deals, and all this scattergun, bizarre approach that we have to transfers. I don't know what it can do to a player other than just put them off and put a bit of a cloud over their move, because you might have players that are really excited to be joining. James Ward-Prowse, for instance, he's touted to be wanting to come to the club. Great. I like the idea of a player wanting to come to West Ham. But even he must be thinking, well, if you want me, come and get me. Do you know what I mean? Let's move these talks along. I'm not suggesting West Ham are doing nothing, but it's slow. It doesn't scream ambition. It doesn't scream love, does it, to the player that this is the player we want. I've never really understood West Ham's approach to targeting players. I've never got it. It's always a really odd way that we do things, i.e. we need a midfielder. Well, let's bid for 20 of them, and then we'll see what comes back and then work out the best deal. I don't understand how that's a strategy. I find it really peculiar. And of course, there are then these rumours of Steidton. They're purely rumours, of course, and I've heard nothing concrete to suggest otherwise, that he's unhappy. And you kind of think, well, I bet he's not. I can guarantee you he's not, because I would be sitting there thinking, what is this? This is just not a way a club runs. Look at other clubs. Look at how they do their business. I'm not suggesting West Ham are in that same bracket where we can just pick a player we want and we're definitely going to get him. I know that's very difficult, but that's because most clubs don't have that. But most clubs know the players they want. Bayern Munich want Harry Kane and they're working hard to get Harry Kane. Arsenal wanted Declan Rice and they worked hard to get Declan Rice. They know the players they want. West Ham are just continually saying, "Oh yeah, we want a midfielder. We're going to go in for loads of them." I really find it odd, really odd. As I record this, there are question marks over loads of things at West Ham at the moment, loads. And I've got a little list here of just like the sort of the main ones, the main points. And you've got to bear in mind, as I've said, this is 16 days away before the new season commences, and these are the question marks currently hanging over West Ham. Declan Rice's replacement, the obvious, the big one. Who's going to be coming in as our new defensive midfielder? We've had 2 years knowing that Declan Rice was leaving this summer. And we are 2 weeks away, just over 2 weeks away from the Premier League season starting. And we still haven't got that person nailed on. We don't know who it's going to be. It's a shambolic situation. It's awful situation to be in. You've got then the midfield, the next question mark. What's going on with our midfield then? Because the Declan Rice replacement, yes, I know that forms part of that, but then what's our midfield then? Is it going to be Souček, Paqueta and this other person? Well, we don't know. We don't know, do we? Again, big question marks. No idea. Left back. Creswell leaving. Is he leaving? Don't know. We don't know. It's apparently so. Apparently he really wants to move, really keen on it. I don't blame him. Apparently it's a 2-year contract they've offered, or they're going to offer, with an extra year. And West Ham are going to offer him a year. Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he? His age, and fair play to him. He's been a great servant. But who is he? Are we going to sell him? Don't know. Who are we going to bring him? Don't know. Crazy, absolutely crazy. Mikel Antonio, another bullet point there. What's going on with him? Is he staying? He wants to go. Is he going to Saudi? Don't know. Is he staying at West Ham? Don't know. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. You can't keep having these constant question marks, and it never seems to be getting resolved. Gianluca Scamacca, another striker. Is he going back to Italy? Don't know. Is he going on loan? Are we trying to sell him? Is he up for sale? We don't know. It's just constant doubt and question marks surrounding our football club all the time, and nothing ever seems to change. Then you've got the centre-back position. Apparently we want another centre-back because we've got an ageing defective back line in terms of a Bonner. He needs to think about his replacement. West Ham are looking to get a replacement in. What's happening with that then? Are we doing anything? Harry Maguire, apparently. Again, and this is a prime example of that. West Ham are really interested in Harry Maguire. And then we're also interested in the young lad from Man City, the young England under-21 captain, Harwood Bellis. I mean, it couldn't be more different. Couldn't be more different. One's a young, up-and-coming player. It hasn't broken into Man City's side yet, but he captains England under-21s. And then you've then got the Harry Maguire who's been around the block, who's going to cost an absolute fortune in terms of wages. But we were interested in both. What's that all about? You've got the coaches. We've had 2 coaches leave the football club. Paul Nevin, Mark Warburton. No noise of who's coming in. David Moyes apparently hopes one might be in before the beginning of the season. What the hell is going on? And then, of course, you've got David Moyes. What's his future at this football club? He's in his last year of his contract. What's the point? Like, I'm not having a go at David Moyes for that, but West Ham have got to do one thing or the other. You either keeping your manager, or you're getting rid of your manager. You can't keep this halfway house situation that West Ham seem to be continually in for every decision, and every strategy seems to be just this kind of balancing act. I want to keep David Moyes happy. I want to keep Stuyton happy. I want to do this. We've got left back coming in, but we're not quite sure. There's no decision being made. There's no kind of firm. That's what we're doing. This is the angle. Like it or lump it. It's this constant sitting on the fence, the halfway house feeling all the time of West Ham, and it's causing us no end of problems. And as I've said, I'm concerned that this is having we can see it's having a terrible impact on our transfer window. It's obvious. It's not a case now of a couple of weeks back. We could have. I mean, you've seen me record and talk about this previously, if you have, but I've been saying I'm feeling very positive. I'm excited. I've got Stuyton's now in. We've got these things in place. I can see now, like, there's things to be really excited about. We've got money to spend. But all we've had from this football club throughout, which is very typical of us, as we all know as West Ham fans, it's just constant excuses. Excuse after excuse after excuse as for not getting out. But it's never West Ham's fault. It's always somebody else. And I find it really bizarre. And funnily enough, I'm stunned by today because I don't know if David Moyes has done an interview for Sports Social, I believe. I think it was Sports Social. No, it wasn't. It was Football Social podcast, Football Daily podcast. So he done an interview, and I've only seen snippets of it. I'm sure some fans have seen it as well. It's doing its rounds on Twitter and things. And basically, we've got another excuse. The excuses are starting to roll out. There was 2. He threw 2 new lovely excuses out, which honestly made me want to throw my phone out the window. The first one was, we went to Australia. That's one of the reasons why we're struggling. I mean, I've never heard anything so ridiculous in all my life. That's one of the reasons. We've been to Australia. And the fact it's a short summer because of last year's World Cup. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realise we were the only club that have had that impact. Didn't Tottenham go to Australia as well? Didn't Arsenal go? Arsenal in America? They seem to be getting on fine and getting their place. Didn't Arsenal just spend £100 million on our captain? Didn't seem to cause them any issues. It's just doing my head in. I'm tired of listening to these excuses from this football club. We've had this all summer, every from the minutes the summer started, and everyone as expected. You know, let's be honest, we had a great end to last season, really phenomenal end, trophies, all excited. It's a great feeling, and the feeling is one, especially for me, and I'm sure many fans, of let's push on now. That this is a time to be enjoying as a West Ham fan. So typically, and normally, like I've always said with transfer windows, and you do turn into a bit of a kid, you get a bit excited, like a bit at Christmas, don't you? And think, oh, we're going to be getting, and start dreaming about what next season can bring. And yet all we've ever had, really, from the club has been excuses. The first one was Steidson. We can't do anything with Steidson until Steidson arrived. That was excuse number one. Excuse number two then was Declan Rice. We can't do anything until Declan Rice is sold because of financial fair play. And now the excuses now are rolling out continually. And obviously, and David Moyes has added to it today, which is just drove me mad in terms of blaming pre-season going to Australia. For a start, they're only out there for about 4 days. I don't know what he's banging on about. I don't know how that. And it's got nothing to do with purchasing players. As I've said, other clubs don't seem to be struggling with this. So it's just poor excuses and poor management from West Ham. Absolutely. So we've had an update, though. I mean, the only positive I do seem to be seeing, and the update is that Carlos Borges, but again, I mean, let's be honest, that's now a week since we've had that player. Apparently, agreed personal terms, it's close to being agreed. We've had literally Fabrizio, X, and all the top journalists going, yep, it's about to be done. We're a week later and nothing has changed. But according to the reports still, it's very, very close. So that's something to be pleased about. I am pleased about that. But my word, it does boggle the mind as to why these things at West Ham take so long when you watch other clubs do their business and just get on with it. Raul Jimenez, went to Fulham. Bang, done. That's the player we want. We're going to get the striker. Done. He's in a Fulham shirt, sorted. It's very, very frustrating why we are dragging our heels. I don't get it. So Scott McTominay is the big talking point at the moment. West Ham are very, very keen. But yet again, the problem is the valuation. It always seems to be the situation West Ham, doesn't it? There's the valuation. It's too expensive. The player's too expensive. Every single player we ever seem to go in for, they are always too expensive. So maybe it's our problem. There seems to be one common denominator in all these negotiations, West Ham, that we don't like the price. We never like the price. Well, if you're going to start showing some ambition and pushing on, you've got to start showing that, by putting you. I'm not saying pay anything for anybody. I'm not saying, I understand there's budgets. I understand you've got to work towards, within remits. I totally understand that. But at the same time, we're not talking that we're trying to buy Scott McTominay and they want 150 million. We're talking 35. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, well, that's kind of what I'd expect to be paying. Really? Maybe 30 maximum, you know what I mean? Around that number. So it's not as if we're astronomically apart. I just get so frustrated, but West Ham find it so difficult to get these negotiations over the line. Really frustrating. Edson Alvarez, talked about him a minute ago. Exact same thing. We're still in the same conversations we're having. I did a video, I'm sure it was about 2 weeks ago. And that we inquire for £35 million. That was over 2 weeks ago. It's around that. If you can go back and check it out. £35 million we tabled, and yet we are still in the same position, the exact same position. If you're going to buy, you've got the family coming over for a dinner at the weekend and you've got to go and buy your ingredients. You don't go to every supermarket in London, do you, wandering around hoping you're going to find a better deal for every ingredient. You accept that sometimes, you've got to pay a little bit more, but, you want to get on with your life. I've got the family coming around Sunday. I've got to cook this dinner. You don't wait until, you don't spend the whole week building up to it, walking around shop by shop by shop, and then come back and go, well, I only managed to get a few bits because I still think I can get a better deal. It's almost like that's how we're behaving. Just get on with it. Start thinking about next season. Start thinking in your mind, we've got to be prepared. This team have to start gearing up and being ready to play Bournemouth. I don't want to be going into a depleted squad. Let's be honest, right? Let's get this straight. The way this is shaping up, West Ham are going to be doing deals after the season's commenced. That's how it's shaping up for me. I don't see us getting all our business done before the start of the season. I just don't. I think it's going to take a miracle because the way that we're behaving is really, really poor. Really poor. And as I said, I don't like the idea that what this scattergun approach is doing to our targets and what it's doing to their agent and their mind. Because I'd want to play a team to love me and want me and go, right, that's the guy we want. Let's go and get him in. Let's get the talks rolling. Let's agree a deal and get him in. Just spending, just putting tons of bids out and reviewing it and spending ages. It doesn't scream love, does it? It really doesn't. So I'm going to leave it with a quote. I'm going to end this with a quote from David Moyes today, right? And let's be honest, I like the quote. I like it, but it just goes against what's going on. So he said, "I'm going to try and build it, and I'm going to push forward." He's talking about West Ham, the football club. It's the first time we've won a trophy in 40 years here at West Ham. We have to use this as a fuel to drive us forward and improve. Totally agree with that, David. Great. But actions speak louder than words to me. And as it does for all us fans and everybody, really. We want to see it. I don't want to keep hearing that we're trying to push on. Because if you can't get a deal over the line for someone that's a fringe player at another club and they only want 30 million from or something, and you're acting like as if it's out of our realms of dealing with it, that's not screaming ambition. That's not pushing the club on. It's really, really confusing. Whatever's going on at West Ham is very confusing at the moment. Look, I don't want to be too negative. I really don't. I want to try and remain optimistic in terms of the long run. I appreciate that things take time. I do understand that you're not playing FIFA. It's not a case of just clicking a button and within 5 minutes they're wearing the shirt. Totally understand that. But there's no getting away from the fact that other teams don't seem to be struggling like we do. They're getting their business done. They identify who they want and they go and get them. Whereas with West Ham, it's a very different story. Tim Steiden's appointment at the moment is not working, is it? Because there's no disrespect to Tim. I'm not having a go at the guy because he's been in the job 5 minutes. But there's clearly a problem. I think it's clear that David Sullivan, for whatever reason, is trying to appease David Moyes as much as possible and appease Steiden. We're just not making a decision. There's no clarity in what we're trying to do. It's muddled and it's showing. And I'll tell you what, it's about time this club now start turning this around quickly, because before you know it, we're going to be starting a Premier League season up against it, and it doesn't even bear thinking about being down the bottom of that league again.